this is what it is now. There's nothing more. This one actually shows how it should be for the bike trail. Widening this section, at least, and then some across the highway.
See, this is what it was when it was built.
6 feet.
Yes. You can do a lot, I don't care.
But they didn't,
Okay, very good. Okay, let's come to order. Roll call.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Craig Bueller,
Here.
Ed Fisher. Stephen O'Connor.
Here.
Ray Frankenberg.
Here.
Bob Ingeman. Bill Strotman.
Here.
Sandy Lucy, Mayor. Joe Holtmeyer.
Here.
Danny Cassette. L.B. Eckelkamp.
here,
Bill Miller. Tim Brinker. Steve Solentrup. And John Nilgis.
here.
Please stand. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I realize that Ed's not here. I think his brother Jim passed away
Last week.
this past week. So that's the reason he's not here. And I have to tell you that I will be leaving a little bit early. I have my wife has got a eye appointment down in St. Louis, and I need to get out of here by 8:30. So if I scoot out of here, Ray will take over for me and continue with the meeting. Okay. First item on the agenda is generally the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, but I don't even, do I have those? Yes. Or do we? Yes, we do. Any changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Getting into the agenda. Amtrak. Greg? Boy, people are. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm over here. We all have new seats. It's strange. So ridership is down very low. The visitor center is kind of indefinitely closed down there, I believe. So I have some data, but it doesn't show much activity down there one way or the other. I did bring an article with me from the 29th that just kind of talks about and quantifies some of Amtrak's woes in Missouri. Obviously, we've got a revenue problem in the state, and Amtrak also has revenue problems, and we're trying to get new budget stuff passed, and they're wondering where their place is in that budget. So I'll hand that around for everybody to look at. I don't think it's new news, but it's informative and something that we can look at.
Very good. Thank you for following up and staying up on that process. Next item, Highway 47, Missouri River Bridge. Steve, there you go.
I talked to the resident engineer last Wednesday, and the Highway 47 paving project is done. They did remove some bad pavement, went in and replaced it, and that job has been accepted by MoDOT. Missouri River Bridge, I know he said that they're looking to pave on the Warren County side, and according to
Joe?
the gentleman, it has been started, it should be done this week. And the river was supposed to be at 10 foot yesterday, so he's hoping the contractor will get in there this week and remove some rock.
Wow,
So they're still in the river.
really?
And the deal with the lights, on July 13th, that contractor is supposed to be back, and evidently there's a short that they're trying to figure out. That's why they're having some issues with the lights on July 13th, so try to knock it out. I know John was involved
Yeah.
with that.
Right, yeah, the lighting, I think there's either a 14 or a 15-day test period, I don't know, it's one of the two. But there's a test period there where the lights have to work 100% throughout those 14 days. That's, once that time ends, that test period runs out, then that's when I believe MoDOT then is scheduled to essentially accept the lighting, and then that then gets transferred over to the city. Then there's a warranty period in there as well. There's some discussion with the contractor regarding additional material. I think per the job special provisions, they are to provide 10% of all the light fixtures and controllers and those type of things to the city for future, if there was an outage. I think it's kind of obvious, technology's changing so fast that we should definitely make sure that that happens. So there's still some conversation on that. I know the contractor was concerned, we were on a conference call, that's the only way I know this, but they were concerned because some of the controllers can only be accessed by a barge, which was a primary concern even for the city in the future, that they're having issues troubleshooting what's going on because they have to float a barge up, and it logistically takes quite a bit of work to do that. So I know MoDOT is working through that with Alberici, and the city's sitting back and listening and just essentially waiting for that to happen. As far as the rock goes, I've been kind of following just the general public's opinion of the trail being open. It's a cause and effect. One thing has to happen before the next thing, before the next thing, before the next thing. So the trail itself is the primary access road to the bridge. It cannot be paved until that rock is removed because that's the haul route to remove the rock. What the city has done is we provided a close haul location to speed that up. So the closer you can haul, the more production you can get to speed this up. We got a spot about 1,000 feet west, which is a washout area that Kevin Crudy identified about a year ago that we permitted. It's ready to go. It's going to take about 1,500 cubic yards, which is about 10 to 15% of what we think is in the river. They're going to dump it in there, stabilize that bank, which is a good thing. The thing is that trail then will close further west for that time being. There's also a couple culverts that the city provided material for. They're going to put those culverts in to fix some washout areas. The point being is we're doing everything we can to provide them a close haul route to move as quick as they can. The remaining portion is going to be stockpiled at our wastewater treatment plant. So rather than have them have to haul to some other location, either in the community, across the river, wherever it may be, this is as close as they can get to move this up as fast as they possibly can. Once that work's done, they're mobilized out. We have plans already ready to go to bid a paving project, and the Parks Department, Street Department are already ready to go to base rock it, get everything ready. So as soon as MoDOT's moved out, or the contractor's moved out, we are then going to move in and prepare for paving as fast as we can. So again, cause and effect. We can't do one without the other one happening first.
Very good. That area to the west that is washing, is that where the river makes a little bit of a bend?
I don't know
On
if
the
there's
far
a-
end of that loop?
Yeah, there's just a dike cut there, I think, that was starting the trail. I think the trail meanders closer to the bank there, and there's a dike cut, which
Well, it actually
we all
is
know
cutting
dike
into
cuts
that
cause. What's that?
property. It's actually cuts into that whole, it looks like it's cutting into the whole area.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's all dirt, but it's 30 foot of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And if something doesn't happen there, I'm surprised the Corps of Engineers doesn't come in there and actually do something with that, but,
Well, if you waited for the Corps, you'd pave the trail, and then they would
well, I'm just saying.
mobilize
that's a-
back in.
that's a- If you guys are gonna stabilize it, it needs to be done, or at least some rock put in that area.
And Alberici has agreed to essentially stabilize it and place everything at no cost to us, just because of the benefit they get for hauling. So it's not a cost to the city.
Great
We
spot.
permitted everything.
Great spot for it.
But it was just a way to kind of kill two birds
Over
with one
time,
stone.
that area could develop and keep spreading and keep cutting to where it could actually take out the trail. I think. I mean, it's just, but it's all dirt.
City has I think, the force main that serves the entire downtown from a lift station runs right through there as well. So, I mean, there's public infrastructure to go to the treatment plant, so it makes sense.
John, did you say 1,500 cubic yards or 15,000 cubic yards in that?
We had 1,500 is what it was. I think there's about 15,000 in the river is what we're being told. So, that might be on the high end, but they don't know. So until they start digging and then sonaring the bottom, essentially they're doing a survey under the water, that they don't really know how much is really in there, which is odd to me. You think you would have figured how much you put
The
in.
rock from the other side of the river?
That's out.
Is that out? Okay.
It's out. Yep, rock from the other side of the river is out. I think they still got to do some final stabilization around some of those abutments and things, but the majority of that causeway rock is out.
Okay.
When will that trail be open across the bridge on the other side?
That's part of the paving, I think, that they're doing, that they started this week.
Oh, good.
So, yep. Yeah.
As soon as the it's paved, it'll be open?
I don't know what the contractually, I don't know how that works because I don't know if MoDOT can like accept the bridge because that was the issue, the walkway, the overlook, all those things is still under Alberici's contract. So they didn't have the liability insurance with the general public on it. So I don't know if MoDOT can partially accept it and then allow it to be open. I'm not sure of that.
So I guess the question is, will the trail be open before the contract's over, or no?
I'd have to ask.
MoDOT.
I thought he said it might be.
So they
He
might,
said people use it all the time.
they may be working through that. I don't know that answer though.
Because once we get the trail open, I would anticipate traffic. It's kind of an awesome ride to be able to ride across the Missouri River on a bicycle or walk across and stuff like that. You want me to go ahead?
Ray, go ahead.
To that end, Bill called me on Thursday or Friday, and you got this laying in front of you, Kevin, if you want one, just so that you can see it, either look at somebody, or I got a bunch of extras up here. Why don't you take a bunch of them back and hand them out to anybody that needs them back there. So what Bill has done is drove over to Dutsos, indicated trail access, and some people have said they might go down the Augusta Bottom Road, it's closer. I ride bikes a lot, and riding on gravel just isn't that much fun. So we think there's probably gonna be a bunch of bikers, wanting to take the trail along the shoulders, into then the Dutso access and get on the trail. We looked at it, and what you have there in front of you is like the finished product of what we're saying. You probably need a wider shoulder coming around that right turn into Highway 94, coming from the south. So you see a green line on there. That's kind of where I think it would be if it stayed the same size as the bike shoulder is all the way along Highway 47. The next two aerial photos are just aerial photos. This is the same one, the base one that you see on the front page. It's a 2018 photo. And the third one is a photo of when it was built, when that signal was added in 2014. So that's just for background information. Back to the front, and what we'd like to do is hand this to the people from MoDOT that are here. We don't have our north side of the river guy here today, the way it looks.
Yeah, Joe's here.
You could talk to him, and it's not like I'm a designer of trails. I don't want to portray anybody on the board to be that, but we think there might be a safety issue here at that right turn lane where the trail kind of disappears. And so what I've done is I drew arrows on there to kind of depict where a bike would travel. And I drew that green line on there thinking that would be a way of maybe just restriping it away from the guardrail so someone could fit through there. And you might still have enough room then for the right turn lane as well. So I'm kind of hoping, and we would ask MoDOT if you see anything else that's needed, because we're kind of creating an attractive nuisance here, if it is a nuisance, but people riding across the bridge, I think I could see myself doing that. I've been trying to get myself built back up in biking, and I would do 11 miles, and that's about 7.5 from the Washington side of the bridge to Dutso and back. So I think you'd see people trying to do that. So we wanted to get that out there to you and say, think about it if you would. And we don't know if anything's needed for the people coming back from Dutso, but they're going to be right next to those right turning cars that might be headed to Marthasville. They're going to have to cross the highway, and it may be good enough, we don't know, but we felt we should throw that out there for you guys to think about.
Ray, explain the etiquette involved in riding bicycles and the direction that the bicycles go as opposed to the traffic.
Yeah, and the bicycles, anything on wheels essentially goes with the traffic. So you travel on the right-hand side of the road just like you do in a car. So you see people coming at you on a bicycle, that kind of makes drivers nervous. So I do know enough with trails and that type of stuff to tell you that bicycles should ride with the traffic. If you're running or walking, you oppose the traffic because you're less visible. They want you to be able to see the cars coming at you, and so you actually walk on the left side of a roadway and ride a bike on the right side.
And that's the reason for, at the 94 and 47 intersection, there need to be striping indicating where people are going to walk, because they are going to cross Highway 47. At 94, they're going to have to come across the highway to get on the right-of-way.
And then the issue of crosswalks comes up. I don't know what the codes are for MoDOT, but you guys are the experts. I would just ask you to tap your trail experts and see if there's something they feel is necessary before we do
Yes.
get this opened up to the public.
Like even some lettering that indicates where the path is, so that people know when they get to the other. This will be the first time a lot of people have done this, and people won't know where to go. Quite honestly, I don't think. And I think the idea of a sign indicating how far this is gonna be for folks. You know, this is gonna be 11 miles, folks, so be prepared if you're not ready to
I think
ride.
what Bill's talking about here is, like you have distance signs to New Haven, distance to Herman, those type of signs along the highway. Maybe on the trail you'd have so many miles to, whatever accesses there are on the trail. I don't know if anybody ever does that. I don't know that I've
Either,
seen
I
any,
know
but
that,
I don't,
but,
I don't ride a lot of trails either, so.
I picked up,
When they go,
yeah, I picked up one of the brochures that is at the Katy Trail in Dutso. And basically, I mean, it's amazing. And I didn't want to grab all of them that were there, but quite honestly, the Katy Trail is a huge entertainment draw for that area, for the area. And now that you've got a river crossing, the only other river crossing is at either St. Charles or, I think, Herman. In Herman, you're off the highway a ways before you can get onto the bridge. So, again, we don't know how many people are going to use it. We hope that there will be people, that there will be interest. That's why we put it, a walking trail and a biking trail. But I think we have to let people know exactly what they do, what's involved, give them more information about it. I'm not sure how to do it, but it involves 2 counties. It's great, but we don't want to get here at another meeting later and find that, you know, we should have done this or could have done something better, to let people know what's going on when they come across there. Anyway, any
Steve, you'll talk to
discussion?
Eric and.
I may see Eric, he may be at the back meeting at 11 today. I would think he normally is.
Bring this with you. Bring this with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, take
Yeah.
all the extras if you want them. They're going to my trash can.
And I thank Ray for doing this for us. It visually shows us what needs to be done at that intersection. Kevin?
Kevin Creedy. Obviously, this was the plan once the bridge was made, that this would be the access road to the Katy Trail. Now, as Ray had mentioned, you know, serious bikers are going to do this, no problem whatsoever. But
exactly.
people and their kids are not going to ride along 47 to get to the Katy Trail. You know, back right after the bridge was opened, we kind of got into a flurry of looking for some different options. The ones that I came up with early on, had some discussions with Chad Egan and stuff at Boone's Lick and with the Department of Conservation was, you know, putting a separate trail along 47, get the airport property, kick across there. I still believe that's the best solution. The problem there is you got a mile of right-of-way you're going to need from the farmers on the north side of the river in order to get that to work. But Missouri Department of Conservation was 100% for putting a new trailhead out there, not only for access across the river, but they see a huge impact of having an Amtrak station in Washington, that people can take their bikes out, get on the train, and then ride their bike back to St. Louis along the Katy Trail.
I
So
was
think,
surprised. They actually do let you take your bicycle on the train with you.
so it's a huge, they saw it as a huge benefit, and they thought grant money would be available to pursue something along that stretch. So we kind of moved forward with that, with the Route 94 build grant application. We kind of put that aside and combined it with that project as it went forward, but I think it's probably a good time to bring this back and see if we can come up with something that's a little more workable.
Who will make that application? Who
What's that?
actually would make the application? Would that be?
Oh, we have to come up with a plan
Washington or
first.
both?
There'd have to be,
I mean, we could support an application as far as a letter of support Washington can, but,
Yes.
I mean, our jurisdiction essentially ends at the center
Yeah,
line of the Missouri River. So
exactly.
I believe that the party would either have to be Warren County
Or Boone's
or, I think it'd have to be Warren County to make that application.
so.
Yeah.
I had some discussions with Chad Egan on the project too. He was for it. At the time, they built the trail project in with the Route 94 project to give it, so it would score better for the funding policies. But he was in charge, he was in favor of the trail project to begin with.
Good.
And MoDOT can make that application as well. Sorry, I want to make sure to clarify. Those are the 2 entities that actually have jurisdiction in that corridor.
Well, do you think we need a committee to look at this? This could be another major project for the city of Washington, for tourism and for a lot of different activities. To get behind this, certainly I think Washington side would like to get behind this. I think it would be important for the city. And Joe, I'm sure you guys on the north side are, but I think in the interim, I think we need to get some signage and/or striping or not striping, whatever, in the pavement, where the people are gonna be biking, directions, how it's gonna work, just so people know. I mean, they're gonna, can you imagine 100 people coming across the bridge at one time? And I can see that when it opens up. You're gonna see a lot of people make the first pass. They're gonna get to the end of the bridge on the north side, and then they're gonna be, what are they gonna do? Of course, they'll go down the ramp, and they'll get on the other way, and, you know, whatever. But I think we have to lead them a little bit, or let them know, you know, from here, it's 7 miles or 6 miles to Dutso.
Well, and then the other thing that I would point out, you asked me about what direction people should go on a
Yes.
bike. The experienced bikers, like Kevin said, they're out there riding on roads that I wouldn't ride on. You got a foot
T,
next
yeah.
to the white line out here on Highway T and some stuff like that. But a sign that lets people know that the bikes should travel with the traffic might be good, because we're gonna get some people who don't bike much,
Right.
that are gonna say,
That's what
hey,
I
I'm gonna
see.
ride across the bridge. And when you get to the other side, they may have enough energy to go another mile.
That's right.
And you don't want them going on the wrong side of the road.
And where are they gonna cross? They can't cross between,
Yep.
I do know currently, and this is with East-West Gateway, because that's the other thing, this is a different, when you're in Warren County, that's a different planning organization, being Boones Lake. But I do know East-West Gateway currently has their TAP, which is a Transportation Alternative Program, which is trail additions, improvements, those type of things. Same dollars we're using to get Bush Creek Greenway essentially completed. But that application period is open till the middle of August right now. That is in East-West Gateway, though. I do not know how that works in Boones Lake, in your guys' planning organization. They may be on different schedules, but that's TAP. You may want to look into that.
yes, that's great, good timing.
I'm sure Chad knows about it, so.
Okay, good, okay. Any other comments, questions about this as we go forward? I'm just glad Ray did this for us, so we can visually see what needs to be done, at least at that intersection, so. Very good, thank you, Ray. Moving on, Highway 47 Corridor Committee. Do they meet, John?
We have not met in quite some time, and I don't have anything to add. to the
Transportation
agenda item.
Committee, also Transportation,
Yeah, the Transportation Committee, we will meet in July. The grant applications, so each year, there's approximately $270,000 to $300,000, which is a competitive grant between the municipalities and road districts in Franklin County. Those applications are due on June 30th. The city did submit an application for $80,000 as offsetting dollars for the Bush Creek Greenway. So that is an STP 8020 project that'll be built early next year. So we are eligible to utilize Franklin County sales tax dollars to offset our matching dollars to keep our local match down. So that's what we're pursuing, and that application has been submitted.
any projects on the Lockmiller plan that have gotten far enough to be looked at for funding, other than the planning of the,
The 47
yeah, 47?
with the roundabout situation there? No, I'm not aware of anything there's not been any meetings
Yeah, there
called
hasn't
since
been any
then.
meetings, I know.
And since, I know Union, I believe, did approve a consulting contract with Cochran, I believe, for the
Or
roundabout
the roundabout?
3 months ago, 4 months ago. But I don't know what the progression of that is.
We still gotta verify that it's.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, didn't mean.
Yes.
So we do have some traffic comments that we're gonna send back to Cochran this week. So it's,
Yeah, there were a number of issues in the Lockmiller report that they were going to isolate and try to get done faster, some of these projects, possibly, instead of looking at the whole project, and
we
I was
gotta
just
verify
curious.
that a roundabout's the best option.
Is it? Okay.
It's not been.
Sorry, yeah. And I think Cochran's working with MoDOT on that, contracted through the city of Union. So Cochran is working with Union to work,
CDBG's involved with it too now.
yeah.
As traffic.
And I think, Bill, you were saying that there are some minor projects along the
Yes.
47 corridor that could be done that doesn't affect
Right.
something in the future. No, I think the MoDOT and Union's priority right now is within the city limits of Union. There is nothing that anyone's looking at within Franklin County between Washington and
Okay.
Union
That's-
on some
that
of
was
those
the
other
question.
projects.
Okay, there is none. Okay.
Yeah, there's a priority list, and that just was lower down on that priority,
Okay.
from what I understand.
Again, it's been 3 or 4 months, so we got to get ourselves reacclimated to all this stuff, so.
Right.
Anything else on either the Highway Corridor Committee and/or the Franklin County Transportation Committee? Anything else? Hearing none, move on. Joe, Warren County, anything? We pretty well loaded your plate early on. We're good. Okay, you're good. All right. Washington Special School District, Special Road District, I'm sorry. Ed, of course.
There you go, you're on.
I got you.
We've been in discussions with Special Road District. We're supposed to, for some additional revenue sharing. They have, I believe, actually this week, we're supposed to get a return back on the agreement. The attorneys have been back and forth, trying to work out an agreement. So I just wanted to pass that along. There's nothing more than that, other than we've been working with it for the last 3 or 4 months, so. Okay.
Sounds good. How about the intersection of Highway 100, the new school to the east?
Yeah,
Anything on that?
the only thing I know is they were doing, MoDOT and the school district working through a signal warrant study.
Okay.
I don't know what came out of that study, so I have I'd have to defer to MoDOT.
So what that is in effect happening, I mean, there is a plan to do something with that intersection as regardless to,
Our traffic group is getting the traffic study done. They don't even have a consultant yet.
yeah, because the next item on the agenda is the old Highway 100 bridge, which is part of this.
And that-
Right, the only thing, I was going to say, I think that Franklin County is looking at that now. finally.
Correct. Yeah, we were working, the city was working with Franklin County because there was a jurisdictional issue with that. In the 60s, when MoDOT came in, realigned the road or rebuilt 100, they essentially, anything that was not part of the 100 went to the different jurisdictions,
Yes.
whether it be the county or the city. Interestingly enough, that the center line of city limits, we do believe is the center line of DuBois Creek. So I know, the thing is, though, the city cannot, it's not in our, we get a list of bridges that are on our system. That bridge is not on our system. So it's been on Franklin County's list since the 60s, essentially. So I know that we did talk with Franklin County. They were looking into different funding sources to get that replaced. It is rated at a high 20, which
It's eligible.
the connotation of a high 20 is bad. Which means it's pretty poor.
It's pretty poor.
Yeah. And I think Franklin County's concern was the bank is actually sloughing on the east side of the bridge as well, so they're trying to solve 2 problems at one time. But that was what, Darren, 3 weeks ago when we had that email
Exactly.
chain went through?
Yep.
So Franklin
know,
County's looking
But
at
if they
funding.
apply for that, you're 3 or 4 years out before you
I'm
have
saying in less than a
construction.
year, the buses are going to go one of 2 ways. They're either going to come down Old 100, or they're going to come down to the intersection of 100, of New 100 and St. John's Road.
I would think they'd start to use the new 100 rather than,
Well, I would think,
old
again,
100.
you're right, you're exactly
they're
right.
going to have to.
They're going to have to.
So
They're going to
that
have to
needs
until the bridge is fixed.
Wait a minute, I thought at the last meeting we were at, somebody said, no, the bridge is good enough to handle buses, but it needs to be repaired. So the high 20s doesn't mean that we need to shut that bridge down.
No,
it's
it doesn't
not.
need to be
It's
shut
load
down.
rate.
I just don't know if you
No,
can take
no.
the school
Right,
buses.
But a bus is
I don't know
not
how
heavy.
much-
Okay, so if you're looking at heavy vehicles, that's one thing. If you're looking at more risk for the community because we may lose a bunch of kids, that's a whole nother discussion. I don't think we're at that discussion yet.
I don't disagree at
Well, there's
all.
problems other than just.
The bridge is load rated, and I don't know what that load rating is, and I don't know what, I have no idea what a bus with loaded kids weighs, so there's no way for me to know.
Well,
It's sitting here
I think
right
we got
now.
to start working on that.
I do know that the concrete plant, the sand plant, those things cannot utilize that bridge because they are too heavy to utilize that bridge. We ran into that when we did some paving work on our city street. We had to coordinate, we had to do some night work because the concrete plant could not utilize that, which does serve the whole community as well. And Franklin County knows that. They know that there is an issue with materials, those type of things with the use there. So as far as where they're at, Mr. Brinker's not here, so I can't ask him that.
And the other thing is, coming out of the new school entrance where that's going to be and entering the old highway, that's a terrible spot. I will tell you, I have to stop and look and keep looking both ways just because there's traffic coming around there. It's either the growth that it has to be cut down, something has to be done with that intersection.
And you're talking about on Old
Old
Highway.
100,
And again, that's a
St.
Franklin
John's
County
Road.
issue. It's in their jurisdiction. I've not,
Yeah, well, it's getting forgotten is that's what I'm afraid of. Not forgotten, but it's not being looked at. The school's going to open in September of next year, is that correct?
I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah, that's just a little over a year. I mean, that has to become a priority. Something has to be done there, I would think. I'm just thinking out loud here. And again, what about the cuts? What we called Geiser's cut, you know? You don't have what? Foot? What's the lane width there with the concrete?
Again, it's
Again,
out of our
I
jurisdiction.
don't know. You're talking about school buses loaded with kids coming through there. Again, that's just another item. Don't just focus on the old bridge, look at the cuts too. Something should be looked at there.
And we can definitely forward these minutes on to Commissioner Brinker.
I would,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, gentlemen, ladies, I have to leave and get to a doctor's appointment, so I'll turn it over to Ray. Ray, you're at, I guess,
Airport.
Thank you.
Airport.
Yes, so part of the CARES Act, which was part of the pandemic dollars, federal dollars, the city received $30,000 to offset any operational costs or do any capital improvements at the airport. Not a huge dollar amount, but that's in addition to the $150,000 that we get yearly. So there is a grant procedure that has to happen, paperwork through MoDOT, those type of things. We are in the midst of that. Actually, on last week, I think they have the application taken care of. It's not competitive. It's our money. We can spend it how we see fit. There is, I think we identified operationally, some costs with manpower, those things. We were looking at that as using some of those dollars. And then also the lighting system needs an upgrade. So we could fund that lighting system upgrade with this CARES dollar money, and that's what we plan to do with it. So that money will be taken care of out of that, and we'll move as quick as we can on that. In addition, we are also, capital improvement sales tax had a hangar project that was going to be, we're going to look at some point here over the next 8 years. We've kind of kicked that process off with some high-level planning and just cost estimating. It's going to be about $900,000 to $1 million to build a 10 to 12 bay hangar. The capital improvement does not fund that entire portion. We were able to essentially, with $150,000, you can essentially stockpile or put into your piggy bank $450,000, which is a 90-10 grant through MoDOT. We will have, I think, $360,000, in that piggy bank, for lack of better terms, and then we can then bridge that gap to get those hangars built with capital improvement sales tax. So the money is available. It is in next year's budget to move forth and try to get those hangars built in 2021, the summer of 2021. Right now, we are working with CMT on getting the contract for design. So we don't have that yet. I did check with them on Friday. MoDOT's still reviewing that application process. But I would anticipate design happening in the next 2 months with a construction sometime in the late winter of 2021, buildings going up in the summer of 2021. So that's a big deal. 10 or 12 bay, we're not sure what we can really afford quite yet, but that's what we're looking at doing. If there's any questions on that, that'll be the next kind of thing as we kind of move in towards fall here, about keeping you guys updated on what's going on with that.
Anything else on the airport? Team track, any report?
No report on the team track.
East-West Parkway.
East-West Parkway, so it's not necessarily East-West Parkway, but the extension of High Street to the south, the building department has received plans to do another phase of senior housing to the south, and part of that process would extend High Street essentially to the property line, which is over top of one creek crossing. So that's a big deal. That part of that project will extend, and I don't know the numbers, but let's just say 400 feet, 500 feet. It'll extend another 400 to 500 feet of High Street to the dead end of that property. That gets it over one more essential creek crossing, which is a pretty big deal infrastructure-wise. That could then set up for the future moving south a lot quicker than what it would have been before. So, as that parcel, the Jasper Farm, develops, you can kind of see it's creeping further south, which does get us further to Highway A. It also gets us further to where there might be the potential for an autumn leaf connection. And I know that's an issue of concern, the autumn leaf subdivision and how it meets Highway A, and that signal, there is a lot of congestion. If we can get across that creek, make that connection happen, that'll give those residents of that subdivision and the traveling public into town another access point. So it's, again, hopefully a early 2021 connection.
2021 project.
That's what we're hoping for.
All right, public transportation. I don't think we have anybody here on that. Any comments on that or discussion? Any other business?
Nothing.
I'll accept a motion to adjourn our first meeting after the pandemic.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All say aye if you want to go. All opposed? Doesn't work.
You want to go?
Yeah, we're gonna have to let Bill know it only lasted 5 minutes.
I'm just sitting here thinking, it's a good thing.
Hey, Marlon. Hey, Marlon.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, how many scheduled passes do we have going by in front? No, not total. What's that? Yeah, so people ask me, and I know years ago I knew, yeah, I think it's like 50 to 70 per day, but I'm not sure where we're at.
Oh, on Grapevine? We'll see. Have a good day.
Okay.
That's the
But it'd be nice to know, we're talking about people on the tracks, and people living along it. And
I'm just gonna write that down. But,
about 10 years ago, I know that there were like 7 scheduled.